Hi, David.
Hello.
Welcome to Web-standarts Days
Thank
in
you.
Moscow. Could you just say a few words about yourself, what you're working on, how you became web developer?
Okay, so I'm working for Microsoft Corp, so the US version, as a program manager around HTML5 and everything linked to web standard, and closely to the edge engineering team. So basically, my job is to talk with web developers and about web standards, and if we got any problem, to be the link between the web developers and the edge engineering team to fix bugs, improve the product, stuff like that.
Okay, thanks. Let's start with Edge.
Yes.
Recently, I think it was last week, Edge team announced that they're going to open source
Yes, in January.
Chakra engine.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think on it? Why?
I think it's a
What's the intent?
great idea, and this is really the way we'd like to go with the web technologies in general. And for Chakra, I think she's she's in front of the camera. And for Chakra, yes, the idea was to communicate on what we're doing, and we have very good performance, sometimes even better than Chrome, and we have a very good support of ECMAScript, and the idea was to share what we've done with the communities. So Chakra engine is a bit difficult to read because it's some pure C++,
Yeah.
but still we think that it will help really the web developer to participate, to contribute code,
And to better understand.
how because when you're writing JavaScript code and at the end it's being executed by the JavaScript engine, so if you are able to really understand what's going on underground, it could help you writing your code. So, and we hope that it will be able also to participate to projects like Node.js, stuff like that.
And just to continue on Node.js topic, as you mentioned it, one of the ideas I heard about open sourcing Chakra, Chakra Core, is that it's a way on how to bring our JavaScript engine to other platforms for IoT scenarios.
Yep. Yes, because today, like Node.js, we've got a lot of developers that can use the same language, JavaScript, and scale it on every platforms. So thanks to the performance we have now, we have some native-like experience. So the idea is to touch some platform like IoTs, and the difficulty then will be maybe debugging, but that's why I've been working on Vorlon also, another project, and we really think that yes, JavaScript developer, we have the same powerful features than C++ or C# or whatever developers. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's switch to the libraries you're working on. So there are at least two of them, which I know.
Yeah.
So one is Vorlon.js and second is Babylon.
Yeah.
Let's start with Vorlon, for example. What does it mean?
So for the naming, I just start with the naming. I'm working with David for a long time now on web standards and frameworks. He's a huge fan of the Babylon 5 TV shows. Sci-fi TV shows.
That's where
that's where
comes
Babylon came from there. And Vorlon, which is a kind of very special species. Well, I don't really know this TV show, so I'm a huge fan of Star Wars, but you know. So, and for Vorlon, the idea was when we are working with web technologies and JavaScript, it's often very hard to have a consistent way of debugging it across platforms. For instance, if you got an iPhone, you absolutely need a Mac to connect your iPhone in USB to be able to use the web developer tools. Android, you've got some Chrome tools. For Windows Phone, you need Visual Studio. So our idea was to be able to debug any platforms using a single way of doing it, using web standards. So we've been working on Vorlon, which is an open source project based on Node.js and Socket.io. And the idea was to be able to debug anything. So mobile, desktop browser, but they already have pretty good tools.
You have a separate session on it, so
yes.
I'll say that we will not
don't disclose everything.
Yeah. By the way, a question. about Volon.js. How you came to this idea? Was it an internal?
Yes, we were
project?
thinking because Babylon.js is more focused on WebGL and games and very specific stuff. And our idea was to help developers in a more general way. So, and when we were trying to brainstorming on what's next for us, because we would like to create a new frameworks, I was thinking that it was really difficult to debug on mobile. Every time I was trying to fix a website or write some code, it was some nightmare on mobile specifically. So I was saying that, well, let's first check what current solutions are and if we could bring something new or different. And apparently a lot of people are very welcoming that a lot, so there was a real need of this kind of tools.
So, as I understand, part of your work is to look for what are the difficulties for developers, what issues they meet, and you are trying to fix them.
Exactly. So part of my job is to create some bugs for Edge. For instance, CSS something is broken in Edge, so I'm feeling a bug. And except that, I'm trying to write some framework, as you said, that try to make the life of web developer easier.
And let's switch to Babylon.js, another interesting topic. We have a master class with you today, but the question is, we have WebGL. Why do we need Babylon.js on top of that?
Because WebGL is very complex to master. It's very low-level APIs to discuss with a GPU, so you need to understand stuff like shaders, which is more or less C code to communicate with GPUs, and most of the web developers are not expert in that. So the idea was to create a framework that tried to simplify a lot all that. And at the beginning, I wasn't a 3D guru, so I was like acting like a monkey, if you like to, when I was working with David, who is a 3D guru for many years. And I was telling him if I don't understand what you're doing or how to use the framework, it's because it's too complex, so we are not targeting our goal. So the goal was to have simplicity without losing performance, which is quite hard to combine both. And we make it open source also. We have a lot of contribution today. And the idea was to mainly focus on games, but we have people making business on 3D application on it because, well, it's truly near 3D, real-time 3D. And we have a lot of things supported like gamepad, touch, stuff like that.
Yeah. As I know, your team rewrote Babylon.js from pure JavaScript to TypeScript. What was the reason and what is your
So I was a guy who
feedback?
pushed a lot on that because David wasn't convinced. He was thinking that TypeScript was targeting people that don't like JavaScript. So, and it wasn't true because typing really helps you because it's going to statically analyze stuff and compiling. And we decided to force him to rewrite everything in TypeScript. And finally, we managed to find bugs that was very hard to find without types. And that was there in the frameworks in the beginning. And it really helped us also to improve the quality of our code, but also productivities and TypeScript. It was a bit afraid that TypeScript was at Microsoft only, but today you've got TypeScript on the Mac, you've got TypeScript in Sublime Text, in every tools, in Gulp, Task, whatever. So it's not something that will prevent people to use our product because at the end it's going to compile in plain JavaScript, and people can use the pure JavaScript version of Babylon.js. And that's fine.
For TypeScript, I see, for example, many companies in Russia who don't use anything from Microsoft, but they're using TypeScript.
Yeah, I know. It's one of the products that is popular in the web sphere.
Coming back to Babylon.js, one of the last additions to the library was you added web audio support. What do you think about it? Is it a major technology?
Yes, we are one of the last to implement it. It was when we start implementing it, there was still some draft things that have been finished while we were implementing in Edge, and now you've got it in iOS, in Firefox, Chrome, Edge, on Windows 10. So you've got on almost all platforms, so it starts to be really mature. I don't have any compatibility problem because I've been implementing the web audio stack in Babylon.js, and I did not have that problem. Currently, the problem I've got is on iOS because Apple is changing a lot of stuff without communicating it. But globally, it's working fine, and performance are really good. So you could have some real-time 3D sound in a web browser, so it's really, really cool.
a question about a little bit about competition. So as I know, in Unity 5, they added support for exporting games or scenes using WebGL and Web Audio for sound. And one of the feedback was that it was not possible before because the games, it's important not only graphics but also combination with audio, because it allows you to feel how it works and all those effects. And did you compare what Unity allows to export and how Babylon works? As I know, you support some models.
Yes, we are supporting exporting the models from Unity to Babylon, like we're doing for 3D Studio Max or Blender. Yeah. Well, it's an interesting question because we often have it. And to be honest, Unity is more targeting already built solution. And people like C# or C++ developers that don't want to learn how to hold any web technologies because they don't like it. But on the web parts, on the web sphere parts, the web developers don't like that much because it's very impressive what they've been able to do working with Mozilla on SM.js, but it's like a black box at the end because, for instance, if you just want to load a unique cube, it's going to load all the frameworks using SM.js, so it's something like 20 megabytes of JavaScript just to load a simple cube, for instance, because it's a huge framework that gives you a lot of service. But if you want to do some simple things, you can do, you cannot detach or which module you like to load. And Babylon.js is open source fully. Unity is not open source at all. So if you want to fork our engine and tweak it, you can do it. It's not possible with Unity. And at the end, for the performance, we are using SimD.js, which is another optimization, recent optimization, and we've got some very good performances without using any SM.js. SM.js is only available in Mozilla Firefox and Edge. It starts to be available in Chrome, but this means that almost none of the mobile platform got it. So our engine can run everywhere. So it may be less powerful than Unity because Unity got a lot of assets and tooling, so which is much more mature. But our engine can address different maybe people or targets. So we can live together without any problem, and we have some Unity connection.
Yeah. Next, I have a bunch of questions, like a quick quiz.
Yeah. Okay.
And I will ask you to ask short. So, what do you think about? Various things I will ask you. So, first question is, what is your favorite IDE or editor for the code?
I tend to be an old employee, so it's still Visual Studio, but I really like VS Code and Sublime Text also.
You are using Windows.
Which one?
You are using Windows for Visual Studio.
Yes. I'm still using
Sublime
Windows.
Is on Mac.
I'm still using a Windows PC. So I like to buy a Mac to test it, to feel what everybody is feeling when in web conferences. But today I'm okay with a Windows PC. I can do anything I want with.
Your favorite tool for automation, like building system?
We're using Gulp, and we were using Grunt, but I think we more like Gulp, which is being used for Babylon and Vorlon.
Is there any tool which dramatically changed your workflow this year in terms of coding, debugging?
Well, Gulp really helped us to have something like professional coding, and TypeScript was really my favorite language. Maybe my favorite language was C#, but now I've got even async await in TypeScript that's going to compile to Promise in ES6, so TypeScript is really awesome.
Next question, what do you think is the most important, or let's say buzzy framework of the year?
It's maybe React. Maybe React. A lot of people were talking about React this year.
Next question, what do you think is the biggest challenge for web developers currently? Any issues they have to solve?
Well, maybe this is specific to my need, but it's performance. We don't have multi-threading, and this is difficult to really optimize your code, and offline also. We really need stuff like service workers.
There is an opinion that multi-threading is especially important when you bring Asm.js into the game because it usually comes from C++ code, and it usually use multiple threads. And
you try to simulate threads, but you don't have threads.
Next question. We already discussed it, but maybe you have something to explore. We have JavaScript on server, we have JavaScript on client. There are some attempts to bring JavaScript to IoT.
Yes.
What do you think about this? And maybe there's some other areas where we should.
I think JavaScript could now run everywhere in the cloud and IoT, in your fridge, whatever.
In your teapot.
Teapot, in your TV. So like I think like LG television, you're running WebOS, which is fully web-based. So.
And two last questions. First one is, what do you think about the growing complexity of web standards? You mentioned it in your session. So.
Yes, some of the people think we should stop a little bit and maybe take more time to mature it. I think that this is really what I've learned in web. It's in perpetual innovation, and this is where everything is being built today. So. Yes, some of people can maybe stop at a certain level to build some mature solution, but we shouldn't avoid, or we should let people to play with new stuff to create some innovation. So,
okay. And last question: what we would like to recommend to our audience about what new tool or skills they should learn next year?
I think they should really learn about offline, so in different ways. So, and to not forget to test in old browser, which is really important if they want to have a free web and to keep the philosophy of the web to be able to run on every platform. So offline and multiple browser tests.
So be responsive for your code, and not just in terms of responsive design, but you should look at how it works. And there are various approaches from mobile first, but you should also look on various devices in terms of accessibility or just old browsers as well.
Yes, accessibility also is very important. There was a good session before, and we shouldn't forget that and not put that at the end of the project, but at the beginning, because it will help a lot of different people, not just disabled people, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.